Welcome to the latest edition of the Hudson County Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Jim Haig, and with me today is a very special guest. It's the all-time leading scorer from the history of Harrison High School, who also went on to play at St. Peter's College and is currently the athletic director and vice principal at Harrison High School. It's none other than KIm McDonough Huaranga. Kim, thanks so very, very much for being with me today. How are you doing?
I'm very good today, Jim. Thanks for having me on.
No problem. And I think I told you that a couple weeks ago we had as a special guest was your college coach, Mike Granelli. And he was so long-winded that we had to do 2 episodes with Granelli. So hopefully we're going to keep this with just between 1 episode between me and you. How's that?
That sounds good. He will probably be a tough act to follow, but I'll try.
Yeah, no, he is a very tough act to follow. There's no in every way, shape, or form. All right. So anyway, talk to me about when growing up as a little girl in Harrison, and how did basketball come into play? And did you play any other sports in growing up as a kid?
So I hadn't played any other sports. My father, Tom, was in charge of the recreation basketball program in Harrison. And when I was in 3rd grade, I remember very clearly, he sat me down and he asked me if I wanted to start playing basketball, recreation. And honestly, I wasn't too interested at first. I was a little bit shy. I, at the time, was going to Queen of Peace Elementary School, so I didn't know as many people here. I didn't go to the public school here. But, he said, just give it a try, go one time, see how you like it. So I thought that was fair. I went the first day, and I really loved it. And I guess the rest is history.
Yeah, and you scored 36 in that one game, right, in CYO? I know that's just a joke, but was there at any time ever was there another sport at all, or was it always basketball?
Interestingly enough, my freshman year at Harrison High School, I really wanted to play soccer.
Okay.
And I had never played soccer before, so I figured I'll be the goalie.
Okay.
So I tried out for the varsity team. I make the team. I'm the goalkeeper. So my father and Raj were a little bit, nervous about this, thinking like, well, what if I got hurt? And I'm like, no, I'll be fine. So our team wasn't very strong offensively, so the ball really never crossed midfield, and they took many shots on goal. But I was enjoying myself. I was pretty athletic. I was having fun, trying my best, to make some saves here and there. About 10 games into the season, I broke my finger.
Uh-oh.
It completely shattered. I had a surgery. They couldn't put the pieces back together.
Oh, you're kidding? Oh, God.
Yeah, they put like a pin in it and all this stuff for like 6 weeks. And everything was like just about healed by the middle of November. So it came very close to
basketball
interfering with basketball season. But I was okay. And that was the end of my soccer career.
Yeah, I can imagine. And of course, you had the major distinction of playing for 2 Hudson County Hall of Fame coaches, namely none other than Jack Rodgers, and playing for Mike Granelli. But first, before we get to high school playing basketball, you said something about you played AAU, and how much did AAU basketball help you get ready to play in high school?
So in 7th grade, I tried out for my first AAU team. It was the Bergen Jazz, run out of Immaculate Heart Academy up in Bergen County. And I went to the last day of like a 2 or 3 day tryout. And there were a lot of girls there. I'd say that there had to be 75 girls. So I went through, the tryout. And at the end of the tryout, they took 12, and I was one of the 12. I was, very excited. I don't think I really understood, I had only really played rec up until that point.
Okay.
So I hadn't really had much exposure with playing people like outside of Harrison. But by making that team, I think that gave me a little bit more of a confidence boost and put it in perspective that, maybe I was pretty good in basketball, and if I could make the team with all these other girls. And then we just, we had a great time traveling. Playing. I played AAU for a total of 5 years. Those first two were with the Bergen Jazz. When the Bergen Jazz lost in the state finals, I got picked up by the Rising Stars.
Oh, wow.
Out of Edison.
Sure.
And I went to the Nationals in Louisiana. That was the summer from like 8th grade to freshman year.
Wasn't John Spieth the guy who ran the?
Yeah. He was my coach.
Okay.
Yeah, John Spieth. So we went out there for like 10 days, and just to be able to see basketball on the national level for AAU, that was great competition, great experience. And then during high school, I played for the Jazz again under Coach Tom Ferreira.
Okay.
With Angela Zampella, Nana Durango, a bunch of great, Hudson County and Bergen County girls basketball players.
Wow. So that must have been a great experience for you. Okay. Now, when you started high school at Harrison, and were you just hoping to get a chance to play varsity, or did you know already at that point, because you knew the team, that you were going to be able to play right away?
I had a pretty good idea that I would be able to play right away. I didn't think I would play as much as I did. Raj always tells a story where, he told us in the scrimmages early on, raise your hand if you get tired, and, we'll rotate you in and out, because we would play, he would always say, go as hard as you can for as long as you can. We would play very up-tempo, fast-paced, full-court man, push the ball up the floor offense. And so I would raise my hand those first couple scrimmages, and finally I said, Raj, do you not see me? I'm raising my hand out there, like I'm tired. And he's like, yeah, that rule wasn't for you. He's like, you're just going to have to, get in shape and be okay out there.
Suck it up and play, right?
Yep. I said, oh, okay.
Yeah. So I guess Raj had you in the grand scheme of things. That he had the plans that you were going to be a good player right away. He was not taking you off the floor.
Yeah, we were young. So we had about probably 5 to 7 freshmen in my class.
Okay.
And
what year is this, Kim?
It was 94.
Okay.
94-95 season. We had a bunch of young freshmen playing varsity with a couple sophomores. Kim McDonough, probably the most notable out of those.
Right.
And then maybe only 2 or 3 juniors and seniors.
Okay.
Amy Murillo, Coach Murillo, she was a junior.
Right.
And then a few others. But we were a very young team, and we kind of all, over the 4 years, 3-4 years, matured and played together. But the team didn't really change much in those years. Okay.
And then, and how did you do right away? Were you scoring double figures right away, or were you in the 20s already as a freshman?
I was my freshman year. I averaged 30 points a game.
30.
Yeah.
Well, well on your way to the record.
I think at the first Christmas tournament, that was the first time, someone had interviewed me for the Star Ledger. They took my picture.
And that must have blown your mind, getting interviewed for the first time.
I just was showing up, and I played my first 5 basketball games, and, to me, I didn't think it was maybe anything special, or I was just playing my game.
Okay.
I guess, in retrospect, I guess it was uncommon for a 14-year-old freshman to do so well on the varsity level so quickly.
Absolutely. And the one thing that in talking to Raj about your high school career, he said that you weren't the greatest shooter of all time, that he had better shooters, and that you weren't the greatest, like putting the ball on the floor and going to the basket, but in terms of, he said there was no better scorer and no better finisher. And was that something that you kept in your mind, that you wanted to get around the basket as much as possible and finish, if you got a chance, get an offensive rebound, put it back up, make sure you made those close shots to the basket, and then more importantly, if you got fouled, go to the free throw line and make your free throws?
Definitely. the game then was not like what we see in the instant a priority. It wasn't a huge focus. Everything was about, getting to the basket, getting fouled, putting pressure on the other team. So I think that, just plus going into high school, I had played so much over the years with rec or with CYO and AAU that, I just feel like I had, a wealth of playing experience.
Okay.
And going into freshman year, yeah, definitely, like with the style of play that Raj, envisioned for our team, it kind of fit perfectly with, the way that I play and kind of always attacking, going to the basket. If teams played zone, we would have a zone offense and we would take outside shots, but that wasn't our primary focus.
Right. And that just started to steamroll. And then, you ended up 4 years at Harrison with 20. I may be wrong, but I think it's 2740. Is that the right number?
2760.
I shortchanged you by 20 points. See? All right. But anyway, and that still remains the #1 scoring record in the history of Hudson County basketball, both for boys and girls. Am I correct there?
You're correct.
Okay. And did you have any idea as it was going on that you were record setting, that you were, that it was, you had some 40, 50 point games in there in your junior and senior year. But did you have any idea that you were setting records?
Growing up, Jody Hill lived around the corner from me.
Aha.
And the Kingsland Courts is a basketball court in Harrison right across the street from my house. Okay. And Jody was in high school when I was younger, and I would sit in my window and watch her work out in the summer. Okay. And I was just very impressed by her dedication and her work ethic. It was, every morning she would be out there at the same time doing, her workout. She was very disciplined. And I think that, as I got older, then you start going to games and you start watching, the tradition that Raj had with all of the teams, and you see all the balls in the trophy case. So I think that, it set a little fire to have an inspiration to, try to work as hard as Jody, or to, maybe I could, do things to, get a ball in the trophy case too. Like, there's always little motivations here and there. Right.
Now, did Jody have the record before you?
Jody had the record for the girls, and
right.
Then Ray Lucas had the overall record.
Right. Okay. And both of them are friends of yours. There's no question, right? Yeah. Growing up.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. So, but Jody having the record, and Jody had about 2,200. Correct me if I'm wrong. Right around there.
Yeah, I think it was like 2,098, something like that.
Yeah. I know for a fact that, incredibly, in the history of Hudson County girls basketball, there's only been 7 players to ever reach 2,000, and Harrison is the only school with 3 of the 7, which is really unbelievable. Ginger Quinones and Jody Hill. So that's just an amazing. Of the 7 that have made it all time, 3 from the same high school. It's just, mind-boggling. So, but by the time you were playing, was Tara Walker before you or after you?
She was after me.
Okay.
I believe we're maybe 2 years apart.
Okay. So she was trying to go after your record. You held the record, but she came up short, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, she did.
Yes, she did. I know you're a little embarrassed by it, but stick up for what you got, what you did.
Yeah, no, it's actually funny because over Christmas break, I found a bunch of I had some old VHS games and I converted them to DVDs a long time ago, and we never really watched them. And we had a little bit of free time over break, and I watched the 2,000-point game with my children.
Oh, that's great.
So it's like fresh in my mind. It was a fun game. We were playing Notre Dame of Staten Island.
Oh, great.
And it was also senior night, it was like a really exciting game back and forth. I think I did it in the fourth quarter with like a minute left.
Yeah, but that was your junior year.
My junior year.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was really fun. Jody was there, Ray was there. It was a good night.
And was Raj wearing the blue sweater?
He was wearing some sweater.
Okay. The blue sweater is traditionally what Raj used to wear, and by the time he was done coaching, that thing was so stretched out and the neck was hanging low that it looked like I could have worn it. I mean, that's how big the damn thing looked on him. But it was his lucky sweater, he said, so he wore the blue sweater. All right. So anyway, while it was happening, did you say to yourself, "Wow, this is pretty impressive that I'm being able to not just score all those points and win as many games as you did, but to etch a place in history that you were going to be remembered forever"?
No, I didn't really think of it like that at 17 or
okay.
As a high school kid. I was just in the moment. I was just going to class, going to practice, doing like normal high school things. I never really felt like it was a huge deal.
Okay. And how many times did you score over 50? You remember?
Over 50, I think just once.
Oh, just once. Okay. All right. But still. All right. Were you a little disappointed that you weren't as highly recruited out of high school as maybe other two-time first-team All-State players should have been?
I don't know. I mean, I think like there were schools like VCU was very interested in me. He used to come to a lot of my AAU games, and there were some out-of-state schools, and I just didn't think that I wanted to play somewhere too far away.
Okay.
My family and friends couldn't come see me play. So I kind of also myself kind of narrowed it down to a little bit of like the tri-state area.
Okay. What was it about St. Peter's that made you want to go there and stay that close to home?
I tell my students here too when they're looking at schools that you can't just think that you've heard about a place, you've read about a place. You really have to go and experience it. You have to go to the campus and meet people and walk around and see how it feels for you. And that was my experience. When I had my official visit at St. Peter's, the first night I was with Patty Marchese Gentile, the second night with Christy Carbone Burnham.
Okay.
And they were two great friends and teammates. And just the feeling and the family atmosphere of St. Peter's, from the professors to the coaching staff to just walking around campus, it really had a nice community vibe that just kind of spoke to me that maybe some of the other larger schools didn't. Right.
Did it help at all that Granelli was a resident at the time of Kearney and lived practically 15 blocks away from you?
No, I don't think that was a factor. He would always tell me, later on when I was there playing for him, that I was his second favorite Harrison girl because Elizabeth, his wife, was the first.
Right. That's the way I talk to Angel Lombardi right now. Angel Lombardi is my second favorite Harrison girl of all time. Yeah, because my first one, of course, is my wife. See, so See, I bet you didn't even know I was married to a Harrison girl. See?
I did.
Oh, you did know. Oh, you did know. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. So, anyway, was Granelli a factor at all, or was it the combination of everything?
I think it was just a combination of everything. But yeah, definitely. I thought Coach Granelli was a great coach. I knew his history at the college, and especially if there were other, MAC schools that were interested in me.
Right.
I just felt like, why go to another school?
Fairfield being one of those, right? Fairfield wanted you big time, right?
I mean, but why go there when, I felt like I'd rather play for Granelli and St. Peter's.
Right. Okay, it made sense. All right. It was a recruiting coup for St. Peter's because they were able to play up the fact that they got a first-team All-State player to come to St. Peter's, and usually all of the players that came to St. Peter's were from all over. They were not from the local area. You were probably the first homegrown player to play for the Peahens, I guess, since Millicent Gertrude. And did you realize how important that was to their recruiting base to be able to get a Hudson County girl, albeit a Hudson County girl from Harrison, but a Hudson County girl to go to the school?
No, I don't think I realized that. I mean, now I do. I see how important it was being, an athletic director and seeing like the implication that would have for other athletes to attend the school in the future.
Okay.
But at the time, besides Millicent being an assistant there and Billy McKeever, Pat Laguerre was the assistant.
Oh, that's right. Well. Okay.
So he was kind of in charge of the recruiting, and he was the one that I had probably the most contact with after Granelli, with the weekly calls and all that stuff. So I think Coach Pat and I developed a great relationship, and he was also able to get Felicia Harris Sellers. We were the same class.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah. So Felicia and I came in as freshmen together, both from New Jersey.
Okay, and that what I was going to say is that when you were coming in, they were a little bit on a downswing, weren't they? They were not the dominant force in winning the MAC championship year after year after year, correct? I mean, they're a little bit on the downside, weren't they?
I'm not too sure about that. I know that they hadn't won it in the last few years.
Right.
But we did win it my freshman year.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, we won it my freshman year, my sophomore year. My junior year, I was out for the year with my ACL.
Right.
And they didn't win it; they lost. And then the year I came back, which was like my Felicia senior year,
right,
became my
junior year, and they won it, right. And you won it again.
We won it again.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So you won
3 out of my 4 years. We went to the NCAAs.
Boy, that's pretty impressive. That's pretty impressive. I was there for 6 years, and the women never won once. See, so we lost in the finals, I think, 4 of the 6 years, but I never got a chance to go to the NCAAs with the women's basketball team at St. Peter's. Nor did I get a chance to go to the NCAAs with the men. Maybe I was the bad luck charm. But anyway, yeah, it could have been. All right, now let's go back to your freshman year at St. Peter's. It was first supposed to be a redshirt year for you, weren't it? They didn't expect you to play right away, and then what happened? And first of all, how tough was that to handle? Not playing right away after playing all that time since you were a young kid, and now you're being asked to sit out.
Right. I think it's a big transition from high school to college for anyone, but
right.
Especially if you're a student athlete and going from high school to a Division I program. There's just a lot that goes into it. I was disappointed at first. And then I said, well, let me just use this maybe as an opportunity to, work on my game, kind of get acclimated to the whole college situation. And I was doing that. And I had to come out of the red shirt.
Right, because there was like 3 injuries, and you had to come out and play with 9 games left to go in the regular season, right?
Right, yeah. So I was a little upset at the time. But it seemed to work out because I was able to play for the MAC tournament, which they needed, another guard because of the injuries.
Right, and you did really, really well when you first came in right away, right? You almost say to yourself, "Wow, too bad I sat out the first 20 games of the season because I could have been doing really well with this team," right?
Yeah, I was like a little, I didn't really know how to feel, but I guess I was just, once you're activated, so right. It is what it is. I have to play. But then it worked out in the sense that I got to play not only in the MAC tournament, but the NCAA tournament. So, it kind of all worked out. And then my junior year, when I did blow out my knee in preseason,
right.
I still had, the red shirt.
Right. Okay. All right. What kind of an experience was that for you to play at St. Peter's and to go to the NCAA tournament 3 times in 4 years?
It's really hard to describe in words. There's people that play, you know, and never get this opportunity.
Right.
It's only 64 teams each year get to go do this, and it's something that's very special. So we had just a lot of great memories, not only winning each MAC tournament, but in also, traveling then all over the country to play in the NCAA tournament and being part of something, that was very special.
Now, were you were you on that great trip with us to Mississippi State?
Yes. We played Mississippi State, but we were in Oregon.
Oh no, I went to Mississippi. Where did you go to? I went with the team with Mike Rowan to Mississippi. Granelli asked us to go, and they had enough people to go, so they had two members of the press to go with, and I was one, and Rowan was the other, and we went to Oxford, Mississippi, and
oh no,
and that was. Oh, what an incredible trip that was! They, it was supposed to be flying in first, like in a flat. They put like on a charter. They made us fly commercial. They then said they were going to pick us up with a bus. They picked us up with vans that were like little school vans. We had to drive in those little vans for about 3.5 hours, and then they said, "Well, you're going to stay in a really nice hotel." And we were basically in like a Quality Inn somewhere outside of the campus of Mississippi State, and I forgot who the hell St. Peter's played, but we got destroyed. So, but live and learn. Did you play? Who were the three teams you played in your stint? Mississippi State, Cincinnati.
So my first year, we went to Virginia Tech.
Oh, Virginia Tech.
Played Virginia Tech at Virginia Tech.
Right.
Which I'll tell you, in everywhere I've ever played, I thought that was the hardest place to play.
Right.
It was packed. It was loud. We couldn't hear each other. We had to go to all different types of calling out plays with like hand signals. It was rough there.
Okay.
I mean, it probably was a great experience for the Virginia Tech girls.
Right. And they were a very good program then. Very good program.
They were very good. Yeah. So that wasn't very competitive for us. The second time we were in it, we had to fly out to Oregon and play Mississippi State out there.
Oh, that was lovely too.
Yeah, it was a long trip. Mississippi State had an All-American at the time on their team.
Okay.
And we didn't fare well there either.
Okay.
But third time's the charm, I guess. So we went to South Carolina.
Okay.
And ended up playing Cincinnati.
That's the one. Okay.
And that went to overtime.
Right.
We were up 5 with maybe a few minutes left.
Yep.
And they ended up tying it. We went to overtime, and then we lost in overtime.
Okay, but that was the best. That was the closest St. Peter's ever came to winning in the NCAAs. Was that game against Cincinnati? So.
Yeah, that was the best seed we got too. I think we were like a 12, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, but anyway, like you said, a lot of players never get a chance to go once. You went to go 3 times, and that must have been incredible. To be able to have 3 MAC championships on your resume.
Yeah, I never got any high school or college class rings, but I have my 3 MAC championship rings.
Okay. Although you probably had to pay for them yourself, though, right?
MAC championship rings?
Yeah, no. Did St. Peter's pay for them?
Yeah, we didn't pay for them.
Oh, okay, good. Well, St. Peter's never pays for anything. So anyway, that's a long story in itself. All right, you get done with school, and you went to grad school right away, correct?
Well, that was part of my 5th year.
Okay.
Actually, I graduated in 3 years.
You graduated college in 3 years?
I did.
Wow.
I got my BA in 2001.
Wow.
Yeah, so I was on track before I hurt my knee. I was on track to finish at the end of my 3rd year, and I was supposed to get my master's in my 4th year. And then after I blew my knee out the fall of my junior year, I was already on kind of track, so I still ended up graduating. but then I just had 2 years for my master's, so I stretched it out a little bit.
Okay. And is your master's in education, or what? Or what's the master's in?
The master's is educational leadership, administration, supervision.
Okay. And was that always the goal, Kim? Was that you always wanted to become a teacher, a coach, and possibly an athletic administrator?
So I definitely wanted to be a teacher, and that was my undergrad, elementary education and American studies. And I came back to Harrison to do my field observations before my student teaching.
Okay.
And Anthony Comprelli was the assistant superintendent at the time.
Right.
And I remember having a conversation with him, as far as, looking for some advice. I was thinking about possibly a master's in reading, to be a reading specialist or something like that. And he kind of steered me the other way and said, I would do administration and supervision. He's like, it opens up a lot more doors and opportunities. You may be thinking now, you just want to be a teacher, but down the road, you never know. So it kind of got me thinking about the other possibilities, and I decided to go that route for grad school.
Okay. All right. And then you got hired after you were finished with a full-time position teaching in Harrison?
I spent a little time in the Jesuit Volunteer Corps.
Okay. Where'd you go?
I was stationed in Phoenix, Arizona.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's something I never knew.
Yeah. Well, during my time at St. Peter's, I was part of the campus ministry group, and we used to go on missionary trips to Mexico, Costa Rica, places like that, and spend a week to 10 days with different Catholic groups out there.
Oh, that must have been interesting.
Yeah, so I wanted to continue that for a little while when I finished school, and I moved out to Phoenix as part of the program, lived with other housemates in the program, and my job was teaching 4th grade at an inner city Catholic school. Oh, wow.
All right. Was there ever a thought that you were going to stay out in Arizona permanently, or was there always the goal to come back home?
I think that at first I wanted to, like I said before, because I decided to stay home for college, I think I wanted a little time to kind of explore and see if I was interested in, living somewhere else for a period of time. But in doing that, I think I realized that all of the great service work that I was doing in Phoenix, I could probably be doing in my own, community. And that's, I think, having some time in Arizona led me back to Harrison to work.
Okay. And then did Raj approach you first about being an assistant to him? Is that where the coaching began?
No, I never coached with the girls.
Oh, you never coached with the girl? Okay, so now you beat me to the punch. You had the distinction of being only the second female to ever coach boys varsity basketball in Hudson County history, joining another Hudson County Hall of Famer, Maureen Wendelkin, who had the pleasure of coaching Carol Blazejowski and that Montclair State team that went to the Final Four in 1978. She was the boys varsity coach at Hoboken, and then you followed suit, being the boys varsity coach at Harrison. Was there any trepidation that you had at all in taking over the boys program and being a woman?
I wasn't worried about being a woman. I was just worried about being the head coach.
Okay.
So, when I came back to Harrison and got my first teaching job, I coached middle school boys basketball.
Okay.
For the first year. And, I was working in the school, they needed a coach, so I did it, and it was fun, and, kind of get your feet wet, but it's still just middle school basketball.
Right.
So then the following year, Tommy Ferreira was the varsity boys coach at the time here.
That I never knew. How about that? Okay.
Yeah, he was coaching varsity, and he asked me to be his JV coach.
Okay.
So that's how I kind of got into it. Tommy coached me for 3 years in AAU,
right.
and he just, I felt, kind of indebted, but in a good way, to help him out, like, because he had helped me out so much, with my AAU seasons. So I said, sure, if you need a JV coach, I'm there. I'll help you out. So I did it the first year, where he was the varsity coach and then I was the JV coach, and that worked out nicely. And then he left, I guess, that next summer and took a position somewhere else.
Gee, that's a surprise.
And that's how this all kind of came about. So that's when Raj had said to me, listen, you coached with him last year. You have these kids already. You're obviously more than qualified from a basketball perspective. And I was a little hesitant just because I never really envisioned myself as a basketball coach.
Okay.
I feel like there's some people who play the sport and they're players, they're athletes, and they love the sport. But not everyone who plays translates to be a good coach.
That's correct.
And there's some people that play and aren't as good, but end up being great coaches. I think coaching is just a different, it's just a different thing. And it's, you either are really interested in it or you're not. And I didn't know how interested I was in it, but I gave it a shot. And it was treacherous.
I could say the least. Luckily, you had your buddy Amy alongside of you, right? The two of you were working together.
Yeah, we had a rough group. There was never, I don't think anything had to do with me being a woman, because they all knew I was still close enough in age to them that they had watched me play when they were little or things like that. So they knew that I had the basketball background.
Right.
But it was just a rough go. We weren't very good, and I think I took it harder than anybody. I had never been a part of a losing program.
Never. Ever.
And now I was leading one.
Yeah. All right.
And it was difficult. It was hard.
All right. Now, how much did you take a little bit from your dad, Raj, and Granelli, and take that into becoming a head coach?
You pick up great things from everyone along the way. And I think that in what I tried to do in how I run my practices and how I would, coach the team, I think that there was definitely parts of each of them in my style.
Okay.
Wins and losses, it was what it was, but I felt like after 2 seasons of that it just really, I don't think that coaching was necessarily for me.
Okay.
I didn't get the same joy and excitement from doing that as I did as a player.
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
so what did you do after that? Now, you did not automatically go from being the head boys basketball coach to being the athletic director. There was a little bit of a gap in between. So did you just go back to the classroom?
Yeah, I got married. I had 2 kids. That's what I did in those couple of years.
Well, let's give Fredo credit. Your husband's Alfredo Huaranga, who was a great football player at St. Peter's Prep in his playing days, and I got to give Prep a shout out, considering the fact that I am one of those as well. So, Fredo's from Harrison, like you. Were you like childhood sweethearts?
No, he's 5 years younger than me.
Oh, cougar.
Yes. He's my brother, so my brother's 4 years younger than me. And
okay.
My brother, were friends growing up. So I didn't always kind of know him as my brother's, friend. But it wasn't until we were, older adults out of school that...
Well, Fredo's not an adult now. We can't say he's an adult now. So we can't, we can't put... He might be older, but he's not an adult, Your son is probably more mature than Fredo is. So, yeah, but he'll get a good kick out of that too.
I love it.
Yeah, no, especially because he's been one of the biggest fans of this podcast. He's listened to all 7 of them, so he's, I'm every time I post another one on Facebook. Who's one of the first people to put a like to it is Alfredo Huaranga. So, all right, so you met, you knew each other, but you didn't start dating until you were adults, then, right?
Right.
Okay. All right. So you got married, and then you didn't have kids right away, No, right? It took a
It
while.
was like, no, I got married in '07. Anthony was born in '09, and
Right.
Juliana in '10.
Oh, okay. All right. So you did. There was right away. Okay. So you were away from all of that. I guess just on teaching and being a mom for 3 years, and then all of a sudden Raj puts in his paperwork to retire. And did you say at that point, boy, this is a position I'd really love to have?
No, when Raj retired, Mr. Dauphin took the position for 2 years.
Did he really?
Yeah, Alan Dauphin was.
Oh my God, he's gonna kill me that I forgot all about him. Okay.
He's the assistant principal and athletic director here for 2 years.
He's gonna absolutely kill me that I forgot all about him. Okay. So, and then when Alan Dauphin stepped down, that's when you just said, I'd really love to be able to do this, or did somebody coerce you into becoming the AD?
No, it was just a posted position. I applied for it, and I was hired.
Okay. Now, once again, talk about the challenges of being a female athletic director, and still to this day, and you've had the job now for 7 years, going on 8 years, right?
This is the 8th.
Yeah, the 8th year. Okay. There's only 2 females in the entire conference. And how tough is it being a female in a man's world?
Well, in the NJIC, we have about 4 or 5 female ADs now.
Oh, is there really 4 or 5? Okay, I apologize.
There's a few. I know in the HCIAL, we
there's 2.
interact with.
Oh, no. There's 3. There's Karima, and there's Michelle Bruce, and yourself, right?
I believe the new McNair AD.
Oh, that's right. Oh, Chrissy Zadroga. Oh, God.
And you have Sandy Laguerre at Union City now.
Oh, that's right. Pat Laguerre's wife. Oh, boy. Oh, yeah. I am really hitting a mental block. These are all people I know very, very well. So
we're up and coming here.
Yeah, there we go. You may be a majority pretty soon. Okay. All right, but when you took the...
Yes, I agree. No, definitely. When I took the position, we're definitely still in the minority. There's always, less female ADs than male ADs in any room at any given meeting. But I truly don't feel like I've ever been slighted or out of place or anything because of my gender.
Okay. How about having to be the hard guy, so to speak, and running the athletic program at Harrison, your alma mater, and having to be the one that hires and fires coaches, the one that's got to come down on coaches if they're not doing a good job, the one you have to be a strict disciplinarian to some? I mean, talk a little bit about that that dilemma maybe you have to face as being a nice person having to deal with now having to be a hard guy a little bit.
I think it was a struggle maybe at first to understand just the role of an administrator in general, in dealing with students, in dealing with other teachers, parents, coaches, just other athletic directors. It was a very different, jump from being, a teacher.
Okay.
To an administrator. So I think that was a little challenging at first, but you have mentors and you have other athletic directors, and I would say that it's a great group to be associated with.
Okay.
Athletic directors have kind of like a camaraderie that others don't.
Okay. Hang in there. Don't choke on me, kid. All right. Talk a little bit about it. Did you obviously in the trying days when you first took the job? Did you have have Raj on speed dial and say, "Hey, Raj, how do you handle this? How do you do scheduling? How do you how do you do eligibility requirements and those types of things?" Was was he on speed dial and you called him all the time?
I think I would call Raj more for big picture questions, not the semantic questions.
Okay.
So he was definitely a lifeline. Stan Frzynsky from our executive director
right.
in the NJIC. I still reach out to him a lot. with any questions. He's always there to help. Any of the ADs in our conference, just a quick example early on, like if you want to create something, you ask a few people, and it's like instantly you're getting emails with, help on it or something like that. So I just feel like, really, New Jersey has this Leaders to Leaders program, so I was matched up with an administrative mentor for the first 2 years, so he was great. So I felt like there was always people, willing to help. My first 2 years as an administrator, Ronald Shields was still our principal here.
Wonderful man. And my neighbor.
Yeah, Mr. Shields was my principal.
Okay.
So, it was a little, I still call him Mr. Shields.
So does my wife, and I call him Ronnie. It's a very, very weird dynamic,
Yeah. But, just, they were all here to support me and to guide me, and, until I got a little bit more comfortable. And, there's always going to be challenges that you never know what the day is going to bring. But, I think if you just try to do your best and you work hard, good things will happen.
Right. Okay. And now, how comfortable are you in the fact that, this is your career? This is what you do on a daily basis, and you've also added the title of being a vice principal. So you have obviously other administrative responsibilities at the school. How comfortable are you in the fact of this is your life, and how much do you enjoy it?
Oh, I enjoy it tremendously, and I'm very happy that I get to wake up every day and come to Harrison High School, the school where I went to school, and to serve the students of the community where I was raised.
It's just a little bit of a different building, though, since you went to school, though. Just a little bit, right? Your office is just a little bit more elaborate than Rodgers, right?
Right.
Yeah.
The old building just did have some nice charm to it, and we do,
Yeah, that 2760, when you walked into the gym, it was right there smack in the middle of the trophy case. Now you got to look up a little bit to the left. Yeah, so.
But no, the facility here is amazing, and we're fortunate to be able to have this great, not only the building, but the athletic fields.
Tremendous. Okay, now what are the biggest challenges that you have to undergo now as an athletic director, despite the fact of trying to hold on to a football coach for more than one season, which has really been probably the biggest dilemma that you've had over the last 6 years? If it's 5 football coaches in 6 years, it's not an easy thing to do. So is there any other that stands out that's a major challenge that you have to do in terms of what you do as the athletic director at Harrison?
Two programs that we put together this year. I have a student athlete leadership team. It's in our 3rd year, but we've really kind of increased their activities this year. So I'm really excited about working with them. We've partnered with Positive Coaching Alliance. It's like a nationwide organization to help come in and work with our coaches, our student athletes. And I have, Jim, I'm sorry, it's just so much talking.
People are going to think you're a chain smoker, Kim, that don't know different. I'm
actually just getting over being sick last week, too. But
everybody's sick.
We have, it's the winter, right?
Yep.
We have a women workshop group that we work with all of the female students in the school. We have a group of female faculty members, and we've done workshops throughout the year. We bring in people from the outside. We work with them internally. So, it's not just, sports stuff all day long. It's really trying to just improve the school and the community.
Okay. All right. And last thing for me, you have 2 budding athletes in your family, and I follow the exploits of Anthony, who is now what, 10? Oh, I lost you. Are you there? Oh, you're there. You're back. Okay. All right. How old is your son now?
My son's
10. 10, and he's named Anthony, correct?
Yes.
And your daughter is how old?
She's 9.
9, and she's an athlete too as well, right?
Yes, Juliana.
Juliana. Okay. How much of a challenge? Not so much of a challenge. How much fun has it been to watch both of your kids become excellent athletes? And I see Anthony's highlights on Facebook all the time, and he's an incredible baseball player. So, how much fun has it been to watch your kids develop into athletes?
It's the best, the absolute best. I'm so proud of them. They work so hard. They really love their sport, and they work so hard to get better at it. And I never really understood, I guess, how my parents felt watching me as an athlete until I had them. And I don't get as excited about anything that I've done in my basketball career as I do, when she plays a great soccer game or he plays a great baseball game. I just feel like it's so much more rewarding to watch your children succeed in sports and in school and in everything that they do.
Right.
So I'm just having a great time. Yeah, she plays for PDA. And,
oh wow! Oh, so she's that good of a soccer player? Wow.
Yeah, she's in her third year with PDA. So she's always training.
So that soccer skills that you had as a kid is now finally paying off.
Yep.
Yeah.
She's not a goalkeeper though.
Thank God she won't break anything. She won't break any body parts.
Right. And Anthony, he plays football for Bergen Stars.
Oh, okay.
And Fredo's his coach. And then he plays.
Well, don't let him lie down. Don't let him put his hands down into the ground like Fredo had to do. That would be really painful.
And he's playing baseball now with the Diamond Jacks.
Oh my gosh, he's well on his way. So it must be an absolute joy watching those two kids grow up. And they're going to grow up real fast. It's going to be scary. And I guarantee you, there's going to be a day that I'm probably going to be writing about both of them. You never know. I hope so. Yeah, I hope so.
We're working on it.
All right. Now, just on the sidelight, this is as we're going to close. I did doing a little research today online. I Googled your name to find old articles that were written about you to see what numbers and stats and like when you went into the Hudson County Hall of Fame last year with Granelli and Rodgers, both guys that coached you, which must have been a great thrill for you to be there with them. But of the last 8 articles that appear as you Google your name, they were written all by one person. Do you know who that was?
You?
Yeah, that's right. It was me. So I couldn't do research if I'm reading my own articles. That didn't make sense, But it's been a lot of fun covering you and writing about you all these years. And it's been an absolute joy to have you as, yes, my first female guest on the Hudson County Sports Podcast. And again, to the people that log on, yes, Harrison is truly a piece of Hudson County. And KIm McDonough Huaranga is the all-time leading scorer in the history of Hudson County basketball, even better than people like Billy Raftery. How about that? See? And your buddy Ray Lucas, too, see? So, Kim, thanks so very much for sharing time with me. I appreciate it. And if I was going to have the first female guest, I'm glad it was you.
Thank you, Jim. I really appreciate it.
All right, well, take care, and we'll talk to you soon. You take care.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right. And thanks to everybody for listening to this week's Hudson County Sports Podcast. I'm Jim Haig, and we'll have another edition for you next week. Thanks so much, and have a great time.